Hello, I'm Dr. Aaron Lungard. I'm the Clinical Director for Total Health Systems. I'm here at Total Health Systems in Chesterfield. I want to talk about something very important today and something that we treat quite a lot here at our facilities, all of our facilities, and it's called lower cross syndrome. That's a real detailed description and name. The truth is it's a pretty simple concept when we talk about crossed syndromes. Our physical therapists and physical therapy department and chiropractors, we work on the body, and one of the things that we look at are imbalances in musculature in the joints. With a lower crossed syndrome, there's certain muscles that become imbalanced and become very tight, other muscles that become weak and imbalanced. With lower cross syndrome, we're talking about the lower half of the body. And so there's a certain, the muscle groups that end up becoming tight are our low back, the musculature in our low back, which includes the erector spinae muscles and the quadratus lumborum muscles, and also our hip flexors, the muscles in the front of our legs, which would include the rectus femoris and iliopsoas muscles. With those muscles being tight, if you think about it, they kind of cross each other this way. And then we have a group of muscles that become weak as a part of that imbalance. The weak muscles would be our abdominal muscles and our glutes. So again, a cross, if we have a cross coming this way and this way, they cross each other, which is why it's called a cross syndrome. Again, the glutes are weak, abs are weak, low back extremely tight, and hip flexors extremely tight. So when we approach a problem like this at our facility, it's important first that we address the tight muscle groups. That's why our therapy department takes a passive to active care approach. The passive part of the care is they're doing deep tissue massage or stretching of an individual. What they're trying to accomplish is to address those tight muscle groups. So deep tissue massage on the low back musculature, deep tissue work on the hip flexors of the front of the thighs to try to get those muscles to release. Once we start to see that improvement, that's when we move from the passive portion of that care to active care. That's why we're standing in here to demonstrate how to correct some of the weak muscle groups, specifically what? The glutes and the abdominals. We're going to focus on the glutes today, and what we're going to talk about is a basic hip hinging movement. That term is thrown around quite a bit in athletic circles. It's thrown out quite a bit in rehab circles as well. And it's an extremely important movement that we try to train not only our athletes but our patients on. And a hip hinge, at its very description here, is actually just hinging at the hips, moving forward, moving back with the hips. Okay? A lot of people, when they go to try to bend down and touch their toes, they don't think about hinging at their hips to touch their toes. What they're doing is bending down and touching their toes like this with a rounded back. You can see the back way rounded, and that puts a lot of stress on the joints instead of the musculature. If we can hinge at the hips, bend down and touch our toes, you can see I can still keep my back flat. So that's what's important, is we're keeping a nice flat back posture and moving the hips forward and moving them back. That's really what we try to train athletes and patients on, is proper movement of the hips and the hips hinging. Because if we hinge back like this, what we're doing as we move forward is we're contracting our glutes, one of those weak muscles. So if we hinge our hips properly, we can start to train those glutes to contract properly. That becomes an important part of the whole rehab process, an important part of gaining strength in our athletes. Different exercises that can be used to hinge the hips. I really just demonstrated one. If we use a stiff-legged deadlifting motion with a barbell or with dumbbells, we can push our hips back and forward. That's also called a Romanian deadlift. It can be named either way. We can do good morning type of exercises. Again, the same movement with the bar on our back, hinging back, and hinging forward. Deadlifts and squats also include this type of hip hinging motion if it's done properly. In a future segment, we'll actually talk a little bit about deadlifting and or squatting and how the hip hinge is involved in that. I hope this was informative for you. My name is, again, Dr. Aaron Lungard. We're at Total Health Systems. If you'd like more information on this or any other services, you can see us at www.totalhealthsystems.com.